Alright class, so welcome to General Chemistry. You're going to have a great time this year. Part of what the class is and what I want you to prepare for is kind of being an online course in a sense. So the class is flipped, which means Moodle is going to be your primary source for gaining information, for practicing that information on your own. Class time will be devoted to you working on worksheets, doing labs, working in groups to complete things. So class time won't be spent on notes per se. The last couple of units will be notes just because there's too much to try to write down. So anyways, I want you to just kind of familiarize yourself with Moodle a little bit. So if we go to Unit 1, kind of the setup for every unit is the same. There'll be a homework schedule, which you'll have a hard copy of that I will give you in class. You'll also have an objective and study guide. The objectives just list the objectives, which are these green books. All right. So that's kind of not all that helpful. The study guide, though, breaks down how many questions you'll have on the test that are multiple choice from each objective. All right. So if we go to an objective, the first one is simply a memorization thing. So there's quiz practice, which looks just like the quiz. The quiz you'll take in class. The practice can happen as much time as you want outside of class. But as we look at our first objective, Objective 2, when you click on this green book, what's going to happen is it's going to pop up podcasts or vodcast or whatever you want to call them. They're just YouTube videos of me giving notes to you. So podcast 1 of 2, Properties of Matter, podcast 2 of 2, Chemical Change. So this one objective has 2 videos you're going to watch. Neither one is particularly that long. The other thing that is included in each of these is if you click here, if you want to use this, you're more than welcome to. It is kind of guided notes. I'm not going to print this off for everybody because I know not every student's going to use it. But at home, if you want to use your own paper, click here, and this will kind of just be a guide for you as you take your notes. You won't have to write quite as much. You're just going to be filling in blanks, writing out examples. When we get to math problems, I'll kind of have the question written, so you're just doing the actual number part of the math problem. But again, kind of pay attention up here because this tells you how many objectives or how many podcasts belong with each objective. A lot of objectives this first unit have 2 podcasts. After this unit, it's pretty much each objective has 1 podcast. Okay, so there's lots of videos this first unit, and there's actually fewer and fewer as we progress through the year. The next thing, you can hit the back button or just hit the top Unit 1. So we just looked at Objective Rockets 2. The other thing that's going to happen is under each objective, there are practice questions. These practice questions on Moodle, if they're multiple choice, are the exact same questions you'll see on your test. Okay? So the way the practice questions work, click on it. I have already done this quiz lots of times, but simply they're practice questions over the podcast you just watched. So the melting of ice can best be described as a physical or chemical change. You can select one or the other. You can check it right now. If you check it and it's wrong, it won't give you full credit. You can answer them all and just hit at the bottom, hit next, submit your answers, and it'll just give you a score. Okay? The score doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't earn you extra credit. It's not worth a grade. It's simply practice for you. But again, remember that all these questions, these true-false questions, these multiple-choice questions, these are the exact questions that will happen to be on your test. Okay? What happens, though, is if you take this quiz again, it'll be a different set of 5 questions. All right? So take the quiz several times. Take it. Take it right the day before the test, a week before the test. But I would be taking these practice question samples throughout the week. As you're at home, watch a podcast, take the practice question from a couple of days ago. Watch another podcast, take practice questions. Or on the weekends, just set aside a time, I don't know, Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you've just woken up, get out chemistry, take some practice question sets from the previous week. See if you remember what you have been learning. Okay? What else? I think that's pretty much it. So they all kind of look the same. At the top, there'll be a schedule, there'll be objectives. The green book is the podcasts. Okay, so Objective 5 has 2 podcasts. And then right underneath the green book, there's practice questions. The practice questions are the questions on the test. There'll be a selection of them, so the more you take the practice on Moodle, probably the better prepared you should be for the unit tests.